Welcome to the Papillion La Vista Community Schools Board of Education meeting for June 13th, 2022. We'll start with our Section 1 call to order. Item A, Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Thank you all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bailey.
Here.
Ms. Wood.
Here.
Mr. Maverick.
Here.
Dr. Tafoya. Ms. Fisher. Here. Mr. Lotus.
Here. Thank you. All right, that concludes Section 1 call to order. As we note, each meeting, the open meetings law is posted at the entrance to the boardroom. We'll move on to Section 2 communications. Item A, public comment on items not on tonight's agenda. When called upon by myself, please come up to the desk with the microphone. Individuals may not exceed 3 minutes for a total time shall not exceed 30 minutes unless a majority of the board votes to extend the allocated time. When you come up, please state your name and address for the record. Your time will not begin until you start your actual comments. Ms. Branco has the timer. It'll first beep at 2 minutes, 15 seconds, giving you that 45-second warning with the final beeps at 3 minutes. All right, first up this evening for public comments not on tonight's agenda, Ms. Lowen-Eby. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Lowen-Eby. I reside at 1401 Edgewater Circle, Papillion, Nebraska, 68046. My comments are related to the claim I filed under the Nebraska Political Subdivision Tort Claim Act against Dr. Rickley for violating his oath of office bond. We have seen over the last 2 years examples in which Dr. Rickley has violated policies and did not perform his duties as superintendent. Under Nebraska law, a claim can be filed against his oath of office bond for each violation. If he is found guilty of making a false statement, he can be charged with a Class 4 felony. In addition, the penal funds for the bonds for superintendents is $1,000. On May 11, 2022, I filed a claim against Dr. Rickley for violating his oath of office bond when he posted on the PLCS website that the district will not offer religious exemptions for Mass. I have yet to hear from Mr. Lotus or the board attorney regarding my claim. The board has quasi-judicial powers as provided by statute. If the board does not make final deposition of the claim within 6 months, I can withdraw my claim and file a lawsuit. This board has authority to develop policy. Since we are all navigating through uncharted waters regarding filing claims against the oath of office bonds, I have studied the Nebraska State Tort Claims Act and attended 2 Nebraska State Claims Board meetings to gain an understanding of the process. The Nebraska Department of Administrative Services website has a wealth of resources that may help our district develop a policy on how to handle current and future oath of office bond claims. In closing, if you are a parent that submitted an affidavit for your child for refusal to wear a face covering or mask because of your deeply held religious belief, or pulled your child from school because of the mask mandate around August or September of 2021, and would like to learn more about filing a claim against Dr. Rickley's oath of office bond, please email me at lowen.eb@gmail.com. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening.
Thank you. Next up for public comment for items not on tonight's agenda, hopefully I get pronounced correctly, Ms. Kristen Fisher.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Fisher. I live at 203 Carolina Drive here in Papillion. And I'm here to talk a little bit about school safety, especially in relationship to the elections. I was unaware that my child's school was being used as a polling site until recently. There was an election, I believe it was on May 10th, and we got an email from the school on the 9th letting us know that there would be an election the next day. And as a parent, that was very concerning to me in regards to school safety, because the buildings are normally locked during the day, and on election days, part of the building is unlocked for anyone to come in to vote. And while I understand the importance of an election and voting, I think the utmost importance is the safety of our students. And so I did email Dr. Rickley and also the school principal, and they did outline some of the safety procedures that would be in place in school that day. And while I appreciate that, I'm just not sure it's enough. Having just the election in the building, it still opens the campus up to things that could happen. And he also said that legally you are obligated to have the elections in schools if you are asked to do so, which I understand. But I think as a school board and as a superintendent, you do have the power to change your school calendar to maybe make sure that students are not present on those days. I know that some districts have chosen to make those election days professional development days for teachers so that students are not in the buildings and so students are kept safe. So I would urge you to maybe look at when those election days are happening to protect the students in our community and not have them present in school those days for their safety. 2 weeks later, we had the mass shooting in Texas. And, you know, it's devastating to a community, and we hope that never happens in our community. But I think we have to take those proactive measures to keep our students as safe as we possibly can. I do believe the Nebraska, I don't know if it's the Department of Education, I think they're having a task force, so maybe we could look into that as well and have a representative from our community on the school task force, safety task force. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up for public comment on items not on tonight's agenda, Ms. Brittany Holtmeyer. Welcome.
Hi. Brittany Holtmeyer, 2007 Ridgewood Drive. On May 5th, 2022, the USDA set forth requirements to follow guidelines for those who received federal funding food service funds. Per Dr. Rickley, in an email exchange, Papillion will be changing their non-discrimination policy to come into compliance as required for taking federal money. At the Nebraska State Board meeting held last Friday, I highly suggest the community to go and watch what is coming down the pipeline and watch what words are being changed to help pursue their agenda. As some may know that I am running for the school board and having 2 children of my own, I will not be sending my children to Papillion schools until we turn this ship around. Parents, I'm asking you to please research. I'm asking you to please use your voice, and I'm asking you to please make time this summer and to find an alternative to Papillion schools for your children to attend. Teachers, if you see what is going on in the schools and you do not agree with the curriculum that has been placed, if you have attended teacher trainings and felt uncomfortable, if you have spoken out to the administration and have been belittled, or spoken out publicly and have been threatened to lose your job, I ask and pray that God gives you the strength to put your paycheck aside and to stand up for what you believe in. God will provide, as always, and He will open new doors. Parents and teachers in the community of Papillion, this is enough, and we can no longer sit back and watch what is going on. We need to be a voice for these students. They are our future. We will all be held accountable one day, and to know that we tried and to know that we used our God-given rights to protect these innocents, we will get rewarded. So please, over the summer, I ask that you stay strong in your faith, teachers as well, and stand up for yourself, because in the end, God will always provide. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no further public comment on items not on tonight's agenda, that'll conclude item A. Moving on to item B under Section 2 Communications, our superintendent's report. Dr. Rickley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lotus, members of the board. As always, welcome for our community members that are with us live and in person, as well as those that are watching on YouTube. It's always great to have our community participate and engage with their Board of Education. Hopefully everybody's enjoying their summer so far. It's starting to definitely feel like summer outside, and it looks like the full week's going to be a little bit sweltering, but hopefully all of our teachers, our staff, our parents, our community members are having an opportunity to recharge their batteries a little bit this summer. Summer school has started at all grade levels for Papillion La Vista Community Schools. We know that this is a critical time, particularly coming on the heels of the pandemic when there was learning loss with so many of our most vulnerable students. So for our summer school teachers in particular who have sacrificed a bit of their summer vacation to provide services to our kids, please know how thankful we are for what you're doing for our kids. Also wanted to give a brief update on construction. The 2018 bond initiative is rapidly coming to a close thanks to the hard work of Mr. Richards and his team. Papillion La Vista High School, the northern end of the building is largely done. The freshman wing, some of the work on the cafeteria, as well as the STEM additions, beautiful areas. But the southern end of the building will largely be complete this fall. There'll probably be some punch list items that carry over beyond into the fall, but substantially completed by August. La Vista West and Rumsey Station are both well underway. We've made some really good progress in the short amount of time that we've been working on our two elementary buildings. We anticipate by December of 2022, we will largely have those buildings completed. And then finally, Foundation Field. If you haven't been to Foundation Field and seen the team meeting room on the south end of the field, it's really taking shape. And that's, I believe, slated to be due by July 31st. So making really good progress. Mr. Richards, thanks for the good work. Also wanted to remind the board that it's never too early to start thinking about the fall. August will be here before we know it. The Foundation Gala has been selected, has selected a date. It's August 20th, and it is at Beardmore Event Center, which, though it lists a Bellevue address, it is located within the Papillion La Vista Community Schools. And we think that anytime we host a party, a gathering, our first preference, of course, would for it to be in the district. And lastly, I would just like to share a bit of sad news. Monica Thompson, Hickory Hills principal, been a longtime administrator for the district, outstanding leader, outstanding human being, lost her husband about 2 weeks ago, and had a terrific outpouring of support from the community, from our staff. Her husband was a Millard Public Schools teacher, and the memorial service was at Sumter. And it was a pretty incredible event and truly celebrated the life of somebody that made a difference for kids and families. And with that, Mr. Lotus, I'd conclude my superintendent comments.
Thank you, Dr. Rickley. All right, moving on to item C, board comments this evening.
As we all know, mental health has become a very important issue in public schools and in society too. And I want to commend Dr. Reckley in the fact that he and his administration and the staff have put forth a lot of effort trying to alleviate this particular problem. Last week I went to an award ceremony where Senator Don Bacon spoke about this particular problem. And at the conclusion of his comments, the committee bestowed upon our superintendent, Dr. Rickley, the 2022 Nebraska School Mental Champions Award. And I just want to thank him, not thank him, but tell him I am very proud of the fact that you did earn that. And you have worked tireless to get this, and I think you will continue to do it. The problem is not solved yet. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tafoya. It was an honor, and I know it sounds like a bit of a cliche, but I mean, awards like this aren't about one person. It's about a team of people working really, really hard. It's about our assistant superintendents, it's about our building principals, it's about our teachers, it's about our paras, it's about our school social workers, our counselors, our psychologists. This was a problem before the pandemic, It's only been amplified more in the last 2.5 years. We know what a critical issue it is. And this board, I hope our community knows how dedicated this board is to addressing mental health. When I was hired 9 years ago and we started our strategic planning process, we selected 5 goals. Mental health was one of them. When Ms. Siri restarted the process 2.5 years ago, we settled on 3 goals. Mental health was one of them. That is a deep and meaningful commitment to addressing student and staff mental health. And just proud to be part of the effort. Thank you, Dr. Tafoya.
Any other board comments this evening? No, we kind of went through the end of year events and everything. So again, a big thank you to all of you for attending as many of those events as we could, and it's nice for our staff and students to be on summer holiday and hopefully enjoying the air conditioning and some ice cream tonight. Yeah. Okay, that concludes item C. Under Section 2 Communications, moving on to item D, our committee reports, Building, Grounds, and Finance.
We did meet, and we will be discussing later on this evening on some of the topics.
Thank you, Dr. Tafoya. Human Resources and Student Services.
The committee does have an item on the discussion agenda tonight, and the clerical group has a tentative contract they will be voting on tomorrow.
Thank you, Ms. Witt. And Curriculum and Americanism.
We have not met.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. All right, well, that concludes Section 2 Communications. Moving on to Section 3 Action Items. Item A, our action by consent.
I'll make a motion to approve the action by consent as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Fisher and a second by Mr. Bailey. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Moving on to item B, our board meeting minutes of May 23rd, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve the board meeting minutes of May 23rd, 2022.
I have a motion by Mr. Madler and a second by Dr. Tafoya. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 All right, moving on to our final item under action items, item C, policy 5000, students. Is Dr. Steele in the back hiding, and Dr. Myers hiding? I can't see them back there.
No. Dr. Myers, is Dr. Steele back there?
Yes.
Okay.
It was. I declined to comment about that since I'm under oath. Are there any questions with respect to the 5000 series as presented before you?
No, but thank you for the hard work on and editing, and I know it takes a lot of research to make sure you're staying current with changes in the law and other changes, so thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
So I will make a motion to accept policy 5601 changes to the policy.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Witt and a second by Ms. Fisher. Any further board comments, discussion regarding this item? All right, seeing none and seeing no public comment regarding this agenda item, roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Steele.
Thanks, Dr. Steele.
All right, that concludes Section 3 action items. Moving on to Section 4, our discussion and information items for this evening. Item A is the superintendent's year-end performance goals update.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lotus, members of the board. Before we go into the goals section of the cover sheet for our members that are in attendance with us, as well as those who are at home, I think it might be helpful to understand how the Board of Education evaluates me. And in the state of Nebraska, a superintendent is required to be evaluated in his or her first year no less than twice, and every year thereafter once a year. So we certainly honored state statute my first year, and I think what we have done is continued that practice. Even though statutorily we're only required to do an evaluation once a year, we traditionally do it twice a year. So the timeline of events is typically the board meets to have a retreat, usually in July, August, before the start of the school year, between different data sources, including strategic planning goals, survey data, district priorities, board priorities. We settle on a number of goals, typically between 4 and 7, depending on the year, depending on the priorities. The board takes action on those specific goals, and then a progress update is provided in December, approximately the midway point in the school year, and then a final report is given at the end of the school year, typically late May, early June, which is the purpose of this discussion item. A number of the goals we have made significant progress on, and there's still a few items on here that we have some work left to do. So again, for the benefit of those who are in attendance this evening, as well as those at home, there were 6 specific goals that the board and the superintendent selected, and we will continue to focus on these goals moving into the next year as we have more data to support how the action plans have been executed. The first goal was implement school reopening and pandemic response plan. As we all know, going back to last July, August, we were in the throes of a pandemic. The entire country, if not the entire planet, was fighting the mask wars, the vaccine wars. Obviously, we were caught right in the middle as a public school district, and making sure we successfully opened while safeguarding the safety of our students was of the utmost importance. Up until really the month of March, that occupied a good part of the school district's planning and workload. Goal number 2, execute updated strategic plan. That goes directly back to Ms. Siri's work. She has done an outstanding job, even though the district was pulled in different directions the last 2.5 years with the recovery efforts and the pandemic. She has made remarkable progress with the 3 district strategic planning goals, again, with a focus on curriculum instruction, rigor. Goal 2 has to do with mental health, and Goal 3 has to do with HR. And Dr. Settles has done some incredible things in that area. Goal 3, complete work on district facility needs in 2018 bond projects. I referenced earlier in the board meeting the progress that Mr. Richards and his team have made. Still have a little bit of cleanup work to do, but again, we have done remarkable things in literally changing the face of the school district. 4, implement district improvement initiatives. This was kind of a catch-all category that included a variety of different priorities and programs. The one that the board and the community have probably heard me talk about it at great length is our community closet. We're incredibly proud to be able to not only offer our community the opportunity to donate gently used items, new items, and toiletry items, but to directly support some of our most needy and vulnerable families. Goal 5, update district leadership succession planning processes. Dr. Settles and the rest of the team deserve a ton of credit here. I think I've had this goal pretty much every single year. I think it's incumbent upon the administration and the board for us to always have a plan. Not only who those internal people are that we think hold great promise for leadership positions, but also targeting people from the outside. I remember Dr. Hyde, Dr. Settles' predecessor, sharing that, for every 3 hires we have, we want to look internal for at least 2 of them. But we do need fresh perspective, fresh blood, fresh set of eyes. And that's something that I think we've largely focused on, is not only focusing on internal talent, but going and getting the best and brightest people from across the state, the region, and country. And finally, number 6, expand district technology and information services plans. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on behind the scenes with infrastructure, with routers, with switches, with the internet backbone to pull off what all of us do every day and what our students need to do every day, particularly at the middle school, high school with the one-to-one initiative. One of the specific pieces of Goal 6, though, that we're very grateful for is Mr. Bingham and Mr. Richards and Ms. Siri working on the camera systems for all 21 buildings. I didn't know if we would ever get there as a district, to be perfectly blunt. Because of some of the federal dollars, it jump-started our efforts. The firm that's providing the cabling as well as the cameras is ahead of schedule. I'll remind the board and community, we anticipate being done and able to record by December 2022, this upcoming December. A lot of the systems will actually be operational prior to that because they've been working so diligently, but we do need to figure out how the footage will be backed up since our technology office has some HVAC issues that we're working on. So those are the 6 goals. Again, we've made some really nice progress. I'd be happy to talk about any details underneath any one of the 6. I would also like to share with the board and community for the, I think, 9th consecutive year, we have administered, Ms. Baranko has administered the superintendent's evaluation for our administrative staff. We have approximately 55 administrators from across the district, assistant principals, principals, directors, assistant soups. And when you hired me, one of the pieces of information that I thought might be critically important is, what are the people that work closest with me think of the job that we're doing? And we ask the same 10 questions every single year. They have to do with visibility. They have to do with leadership. Are we focusing on the right things? And we've seen some growth in some areas. And to be honest, we've seen some metrics go down. And the one in particular that I'll share with you after I've shared with the administrative team is visibility. And that's one where my visibility in the district the last 2.5 years probably has taken a hit. And that's one that I want to continue to focus on as we think about my goals for next year. So with that, Mr. Lotus, I would conclude the summary of my performance goals, and again, happily answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Dr. Rickley. Board comments, questions regarding the update?
I don't really have a question. I just kind of want to make a comment. I noticed, you said it when Dr. Tafoya mentioned the mental health award, and then it's over and over and over in all of these goals. Superintendent's goals, but it takes a team, and you have assembled, with I'm sure lots of help, a fantastic team, and it shows, because that's all I hear in here is that hey, the work that Miss Siri did, and Miss Settles, and all that kind of stuff, and that's what you hear over and over again. So, fantastic work. Yes, we still have a lot to do, and we understand that, but very good progress. It was great to read all this and read how things are progressing, like I said, and the fact that the folks that you see here, the folks that we don't see that aren't here but that are running the schools, the administrators, and all the way down through everybody, the good work. Like I said, assembling that team and working with that team.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
You mentioned the community closet, so I just had a general question. As we've seen inflation increase so rapidly, we've seen the cost of fuel increase and continue to increase, and goods and services as well. Have we seen a marketed increase in the need for services through the community closet?
The short answer is yes, and Dr. Myers in the back of the room could answer this more directly, but when she provided me with some numbers at the end of the school year just a few weeks ago, I believe the number, I'm kind of peeking around the corner, was 18,000 different items and toiletry items have been distributed just the last school year alone. Now, for some, that was a pair of jeans. Others, it may have been shoes and a winter jacket. For others, it was just toiletry items because they didn't have any clothing needs. My gut tells me that number will only rise in the coming years for the exact reasons that you articulated, Ms. Fisher. So while I'm proud of the work we've done through the first 9-10 months, I think that the job is only going to get bigger in the coming years.
No, my only comment is, obviously, as part of the evaluation process, we board members are submitted a survey as well. I appreciate your guys' timely responses on those in order for me to sit down one-on-one and give Dr. Rickley his formal evaluation. Thank you, Dr. Rickley, for being willing to have an open and honest discussion, an evaluation, just like the rest of us go through in our real jobs. I appreciate your willingness to listen to the good things, the need for improvement things, and the, sometimes just not pleasant things. So, again, I really appreciate that open and honest conversation as we continue to strive for great things within this district.
Thank you, Mr.
So, thank you all. Any other comments or questions? All right. If not, Seeing no public comment regarding this item, we will conclude item A. We'll move on to item B, our tentative para negotiations for 2022 through 2024. Dr. Settles.
Yes, thank you very much. You do have some of the details in front of you regarding our most recent para negotiations. Definitely wanted to give a shout out to our paras who are a part of the Local 226 and came to the table. The wonderful part about working with them is we're all really working toward the same thing. We know how valuable our paras are here in Papillion Vista Community Schools, and we knew that we had some work to do in this realm. HR subcommittee has met twice discussing this, and we've done some work on the financial piece and believe that we are bringing the very best package that we possibly could for this group. One of the things I think that was very moving in these last few months is also listening to several of the other groups talk about how important our groups of paras are, and we really felt it this year when we had such significant para shortages. We know that our problems probably are not alone here in the metro area. We all are having these types of struggles, but listening to our teachers in superintendent advisory as well as some of the liaison lunches discuss what can we keep doing for paras, because everyone really does recognize how important this group is to students and student learning and student achievement. So what you have before you for discussion tonight, just some summary of that. It is a 2-year agreement, and year one on that is a total package increase of 8.98%. Year two is 4.9% total package. Keep in mind with paras, there's very few that work the hours that are needed for the insurance piece of it. So when we talk para costs, we are truly spending the majority of those costs on salaries and rather than the insurance benefits. And that was some work that HR subcommittee has had the chance to see as we surveyed paras and determined where they would like to see the increases come, and overwhelmingly it was in the area of salary. You have the table in front of you that shows what our newly hired paras would come in at then for the 22-23 school year as well as 23-24. You can see that our goal was to get those starting rates above $15 an hour, and in most areas we did. All areas in year two will be above that. The other thing that we worked on was being sure that we are recognizing and providing monetary, hoping to keep people here, those that have been here and given those years. Those that are returning will also get an additional 20 cents an hour in 2022-23, as well as the following year, an additional 20 cents an hour on that one. A couple of other things that were a part of this. So accumulated leave. We have added one additional day of accumulated leave, so that's an additional sick day for each month of service. So they receive 1 day per month of service or throughout the year, and then it'll be +1 for the year. So 1 additional day. We have added the sick day exchange program. This is an incentive for our staff who have been here for 10 or more years. So we've added that. We have that currently with certified staff. It's gone over very well. We have several hundred people taking advantage of that. So we have added that program as well for paras. We provided a change on the longevity for our paras who have been here for at least 5 years. Rather than a 2% increase after 5 years, they get a 3% increase with this contract. We also would add for an additional area there for longevity, and that is for our pairs that have been here 35 years. So we used to go up to 30 years on that, but a huge celebration. We have somebody who's been here for 35 years. Some of you saw her be recognized at the staff recognition that we had in May, so that's a big celebration, but we wanted to make sure that we added that area of increase as well. One I think will be very popular with our paras is an added benefit that the first 3 snow days would be paid for our paraprofessionals, and then any snow days past 3, they would be welcome to come in and make up on staff development days. That's what's currently been done, is that they can make those up on staff development days, but you can imagine a month like December where there might only be 15 working days. That's a real hit for people, and we certainly don't want to have that be a reason that people leave. We also cleaned up a little bit of language that you may have seen if you looked through the entire agreement. For instance, we cleaned up some language on the secondary instructional special education paraprofessional. That's a rarely used position, and they just asked that we clarify that a bit, so we went ahead and did that. And then we cleaned up some of the language for taking leave, that they can do that online for their requests. So I am certainly open to any questions or to help clarify anything that you might have.
I don't have any questions, but thank you for the work on this. I know this was something that was very important for our paras and for the board and for the administration to see what we could do to help them out some. Funds are limited, but we still want to find ways to be able to make them understand how valued we feel that they are. So I like many of the things in here, the paid snow days. I like that accumulated leave extra day. I like the fact that we're going to allow them to do the sick day exchange, because that's something we've heard that they've been interested in. So these all are items that I think, it isn't always about just the paycheck. It's about the other things that we can do as well. And I like what we have in here. So, and it sounds like it was a very positive experience with the negotiators as well. So, thank you for all the work.
Okay, our next step then will be to bring this back to you at the next meeting for a vote, hopefully. And I will just add, typically we share details about this with paras at the Warner Park event when we kick off the school year. We did meet after they had the vote last week. We met and just discussed what their ideas were for how we could bring this sooner, whether it be a Zoom or a meeting in person, because obviously we've got some para jobs that we'll be working on filling. We usually do that throughout the month of July and into August. So our plan would be after the next board meeting that we do offer both an in-person and a Zoom meeting for anybody who wants to hear more about it sooner. And that can be something you may see a little bit on. So.
No, thank you. As Ms. Fisher said it, she stole a lot of my thunder. But I do appreciate, as we've had to do with substitutes and other positions, just the willingness to get creative and see what additional benefits and things that we can provide that are of good value, not only to the employees but to the district, being conscious of our budget and our limited funds. So as part of the HR subcommittee, it was definitely great to hear the increases and the positive negotiations between our groups to come to something that is hopefully beneficial to all. So looking forward to making some good changes here. Seeing no other board comments, I will conclude item and no public comments requested for item B. Conclude item B, move on to item C, strategic plan goal number 3.
Thank you. I will invite Dr. Myers and Dr. Steele back up. We will share the microphone on this one. I think it was probably my fault earlier. I think I was supposed to do that earlier one. So sorry, Dr. Steele. Now I've publicly apologized. I'm off the hook. All right.
No apology needed, Dr. Settle.
Well, we have the honor of representing a whole lot of stakeholders who have done some work in the area of Strategy 3, which revolves around the area of human resources. And you can see on here, and it's important enough that I state this for you, that Strategy 3 does state that we will provide all students with highly qualified staff that will foster a positive environment based in relationships. The goal revolves around recruiting, developing, and retaining a diverse staff to serve all students. So our specific areas, there are 3 areas that this involves. So 1, 2, 3 of us will all share parts of this with you today. So those areas specifically, the recruiting and retaining and developing our staff. Then we work on the Grow Your Own. We have a very rich Grow Your Own program already, and there's yet so much more that we can do. And then the last one involves emphasizing the importance of those positive relationships. I'll let Dr. Steele get us started with the first one.
Hey, yes, there are 2 key pillars under this strategic goal that enhance our efforts to recruit and retain a highly qualified staff. Some of it is technological. We've evolved with the technology of the age. We have incorporated the use of video screening interviews, and we've also really tried to increase our social media recruitment efforts, especially for hard-to-fill areas. But with that said, in many ways, when it comes to recruitment, it's still done a handshake at a time, and it's built on strong relationships. And very proud to say that under this strategic goal, we have been doing a lot of relationship building with colleges and with collegiate programs, both undergraduate and graduate, throughout the region. Serving them, reaching out to them, serving in ways large and small. Things like our district school leaders serving on panel discussions, or serving as guest speakers in classes, or even going to college interview workshops and resume writing workshops, things where we can be of service to the students and also to the faculty in those colleges. And in doing that, we develop strong relationships. And this year, we've seen the reopening of many college recruitment fairs, and that is one of the most enjoyable, invigorating parts of the job. You go to a college, and thanks to the outreach that we've had that I just spoke about, chances are we've already met a lot of the students that come by to our booth and see us. So it's paying off, and we're really developing strong relationships that contribute to strong hires to serve our students and our community. The second aspect is retention, and if you'll notice under the second point there, when it comes to this area, we've been receiving ongoing professional development on the national teacher shortage, and we've kept up with trends and recommendations in this area. One of the biggest recommendations there is out there in this time of shortage is to hold on to the great people you have, and to keep them as long as you can. And that's a key aspect of what we do. We want to provide quality professional development for our staff, especially surrounding inclusion efforts. When it comes to paraprofessionals, we've improved onboarding practices and professional development opportunities, including our para conference that we have every year, where our paraprofessionals are given a chance to develop skills that will help them become more successful on the job. The way we approach this is a mindset, and it's kind of transactional in nature when you think about it. You know, when we offer an opportunity to someone to be a part of our district, to work with our kids, and to work alongside our staff, when we do that, we're making an investment in them as they come to our community. But the flip side is they're making an investment in us. And we want that investment to pay dividends long into the future. And we do that by providing rich experiences for our staff that make them want to stay here and to help them grow personally and professionally and become better at what they do. So those two key pillars are important under this strategic goal. Dr. Myers?
Turn it over to Dr. Sells.
Yeah, I would love to talk just a little bit about Grow Your Own. As I mentioned, this is fortunately already an area that our district has a wonderful foundation. We've got, for probably 2 decades now, we've had an education academy in place for our juniors and seniors. It's a beautiful thing. Currently, we're graduating between 20 and 25 students a year who are entering the field of education. We've really done some things over the last couple of years to try to increase our engagement with these students. It is absolutely one of the favorite parts of our job, and I know several of you have enjoyed celebrating with them as well, but it really is something that takes the entire district, whether it be the partnerships that they have at an internship at an elementary or a mentoring at one of our schools every Wednesday. They're also increasing involvement in the area of Educators Rising. That would be the newest term for what some of us probably remember as Future Educators of America. Educators Rising has a lot of wonderful things. We even had students that you celebrated here who qualified for the national competition. So what we're trying to do with this area is get in front of as many students as we can, making sure they know about the Education Academy, making sure they know about other pathways that just might make them have that interest in wanting to go into the field of education. This is an area of Grow Your Own. I will tell you that there's so much we can do, and right now a lot of what we do is the people piece of it. We're exploring some other things that would have to have a financial piece behind them as well, but looking into just different ideas like future educator clubs for K through 12. Let's get those students thinking about this really early on. We asked our middle school teachers this year to nominate some students who you think have the great qualities that we're looking for in future teachers. And then we're doing some outreach with those students that were nominated this year just to make sure that they know that we have things like Education Academy. We earned thanks to the PLV Foundation, we earned a grant that will help to celebrate those partnerships, and we'll have some visuals to be able to share with that, so we're excited about that. One of those things that can get tricky as our students move on and graduate is let's keep track of them. So we've been keeping track of them. We invite them back annually during the winter break to come, and we'll spend time looking at resumes, going through the application process of how you can end up working here if you want. We'll do practice interview questions with them. One of the things we've noticed with this is they'll reach out throughout their time in college, and we just really want to open up those pathways just to be able to talk and open those up. So we have some future ideas that we think could even be better with that. We do maintain a Facebook page for alumni of Papillion La Vista Community Schools that are majoring in education. And it's not overwhelming or anything, but we'll post on that a couple of times a month. We also most recently applied for an educator shortage grant with NDE. This would really allow us to do some things in the area of mentoring with our students once they have left here, perhaps provide some scholarships for our students who are going into the field of education, and help us to enhance our program that we started with Midland University of paras wanting to go on and be teachers. I'm going to tell you just a little bit more about that one in a second. One of the other pieces that we have done in the area of Grow Your Own is provided a reboot of the leadership cohort. So that began in January. We know that people have a lot on their plate during the times we're in, so that actually, that one course is going for about a year and a half. We've got 15 of our current teacher leaders that are a part of that, and that's been going very well. They can earn credit through UNO for that, and that too takes the efforts of all different people, making sure that coming together and we're helping them to kind of gain that big district perspective so that they've got a clear understanding when they are seeking leadership roles in areas here in the district. I do want to celebrate a little bit with the partnership with Midland University. So we joined Westside, Millard, and I feel like there was one other in that. I think maybe it was just Westside of Millard in providing that there was a private donor who was providing some spots for a high area of need. So we chose the area of special education at the elementary level, and we reached out to our paras. These are the requirements of the program, but it's to provide tuition for them to go on and get their teacher certification. And we had 22 of our paras apply for it. So we selected 2 of those. They started the next week, and they are in the throes of all their summer classes. So they're doing a great job, and shouldn't be too far away. Within the next 2 years here, they'll have their certification and have then agreed to stay on in the district. So there's some parameters and everything revolving around that. So we're really excited about that. We would love to be able to expand that. What we learned from those 22 that did apply was we have a lot of people not that far away from getting their certification. So we would love to be able to utilize people that we already have here and know this district and are better able to contribute to, if you're already here as a student or an employee or a community member, you obviously contribute to the diversity of our school district as well, so we appreciate that part as well. There's the quick celebration for you of Corinne Hansen and Gayla Ezra on their first night of the program at Midland University. So, Dr. Myers.
Thank you. Well, I get to speak with you about relationships, and there's really nothing more important than that in our profession. And we have spent quite a bit of time focusing on this area for this strategic goal. We strive to foster the relationships with education majors and student teachers. And Dr. Settles and Dr. Steele both spoke about this. But I will just add to that it is critical that we continue to identify folks that are interested in the field of education and quickly develop those relationships with them so we can support them along the way, and we are absolutely dedicated to doing that. We have just had the pleasure of having outstanding student teachers here in Papillion La Vista, and we will continue to develop those relationships and support those folks through graduation and beyond. A few of the other pieces to highlight here, we do have an evidence-based new teacher mentor and mentee program, and we have continued to build on the mentee piece of it and have really focused the past year or so on developing our mentors. And it's an area that Ms. Rachel Stevenson and others have really taken and just made a tremendous program of supports and communication, including what to expect in the research on different times of the school year, for example, when working with mentees. The Superintendent Advisory for Classified and Certified Staff continues to be beneficial for opening and continuing to maintain open lines of communication, in addition to the Papillion La Vista Education Association meetings that we have very consistently to just continue that collaboration moving forward. We have had the opportunity for a guest speaker on professional boundaries, and that conversation continues. And we talk about a variety of areas, but that would also include expectations and appropriate communication in that learning. one of the areas here that I'm most passionate about personally is our new administrator induction program. It is a 2-year program that year one focuses on bringing new leaders into our district. Some of them are brand new administrators, some of them are just new to our school district, and we take a look at a variety of different leadership strategies. We talk about Papillion La Vista, what makes Papillion La Vista, and really get to know all of the folks that are here to support each and every one of them, and really truly try to, the focus of that is that district-wide view, and connect them with others that can support them. And then in year two, we build on that knowledge, all of those new experiences in year one. And in addition to the mentor that they're assigned in year one, they also get a leadership coach. And so they can receive coaching on their personal professional goal. And again, this is all about relationship building, because through these connections that benefits our students. And then very excited, Mr. Andrew Bell is just about to come on board with us as Director of Classified Staff here next month, though he's been with us constantly already. We are happy to say Mr. Bell is the current principal of Ashbury Elementary, and this is just an extremely exciting opportunity for our classified staff. We are just so fortunate to have amazing staff here, and Mr. Bell will continue to focus on building relationships and developing our classified staff to continue and support them in their roles. So we're very excited for that opportunity. Dr. Suttles.
Next steps. So there's a lot of work being done continuously in this area, but we still have a lot of things that we hope to be able to achieve throughout this time of the strategic plan. So continuing those explorations of increasing those positive and professional relationships. We know that's engagement, right? It's engagement for our students. It's engagement for our staff. The areas of this could not be more timely, obviously. We're very glad that this surfaced as an area for the strategic plan engagement group that came together, the community group that came together, because not only did we already have an issue in the United States with teacher shortage, but it definitely compounded with many of the issues of the last few years. So we're glad that this surfaced as a big area. And then I think most importantly that we just keep telling our PLCS stories. And those of you who were a part of the celebration and for our staff that for the years of service, there was such continued themes through everything you heard shared in their videos that Chantel put together, which were just beautiful, but all about how important it is to make an impact on students and the relationships piece, and that knowing that every day they're making a difference, and how much they love the people that they work with, and they love working on a common mission here together. So continuing that as rhetoric and education, it's a difficult time. So really making sure that we're taking focus to this very important area. What questions do you have for us?
I don't have any questions, but I have a couple of observations. I was here for the graduation of the Education Academy, and the positivity and the joy from not only the students but the two teachers who mentored the group it was heartwarming. And I know this is all of what you're doing is not new to HR. You do this every single day, every single year that HR has to do its job. It's just like you said, compounded this time. And I was 22 applicants to move into the teaching. I think that's huge, and I wish whoever the person was who donated the tuition would come back and take a look at that and try give us some more. So great.
I just wanted to say that, of course, I go back to the college arena, and we see this a lot in aviation, is the resume writing, the interview questions, and all that. And for you all to be able to do that and work with some that have that are in college and bring them back, the alumni and everything, I think that's fantastic, because that is one of the things we stress in our program, and I think every college does it, but to have you all work with them, not only do you get to help them out with those, but then you get to kind of get your hands on them and say, hey, why don't you come back here? We could really use you. So I think that's just a fantastic idea, fantastic program, among many, everything that you all talked about, but just one of the ones that I focused on. So thank you very much for all your work.
Thanks. I'll add that we get to do that with our juniors as well as they're completing their year of Education Academy, their first year. And they, at that point, they are ready. I think we say to nearly every one of them, hey, if you want to start working as a para as soon as you start college, we're ready for you and we'll take you, because they truly, by being a part of that program, they are differently prepared. And when they hit college, and their college professors will tell us this, that I knew instantly they were differently prepared. When they're getting ready to go out into the first internships or the first practicum experiences, and their classmates are worried and concerned about how am I going to know what to do? They're like, oh my gosh, I already did this for a whole year. This is what you need to know. And they just do a great job. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, over the last couple of years, we've had a lot of additional stress and pressures put on teachers, and it's been in the news, all the teacher burnout and the numbers that have been leaving some of the districts. I was wondering, is that coming through yet in teachers that are graduating, or people that are graduating with education degrees? Is that number going down at all? Have we seen fewer people graduating with education degrees?
I think that's something that depends on which college, but certain colleges have really ramped up some of the efforts. I don't think we're seeing as many people enter the field of education. And I just saw a statistic today that I wish I could remember the exact, and I would quote it for you, but the numbers are certainly down. Yeah. Student teachers, we want to make sure we're getting as many student teachers and attracting them here, because typically many of our student teachers get hired on here, and then they're ready to hit the ground running because they've already had a full semester of being trained on the job, really. So I think that's for sure an area.
And if the numbers are dropping as far as those that are graduating, it's only going to get more competitive for all the districts to hire the teachers. So having those plans that you guys laid out hopefully puts us in a more competitive spot, and hopefully the offerings that we can provide people are a step above some of the other districts. But then you talked about the student teachers. Are those numbers down as well as far as those trying to be student teachers here? And then how are we being affected by some of the districts talking about paying student teachers?
Yeah, it's a real thing. So we met students at the career fairs who asked us, so I'm getting ready to choose where I'm going to student teach. Are you offering a stipend? We've done some research in that area. We likely will have a recommendation for the board yet this summer in that area. And I think we're looking to be a little more creative than here's a flat stipend, come and spend the semester with us. We've got some other ideas that we think could be a little bit more robust. But we've had that. We've had a couple of students that signed up originally to student teach with us and then left because a different district that was providing a stipend. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I'll be interested to see what the recommendation is. I think student teaching, it's a great way to get people into the district, but then it gives the district a good opportunity to evaluate potential teachers.
Yep.
Filters
Yeah,
them out
you truly know who you're getting, right?
Yeah. So anything that we can do there to give it another look to help support the student teachers program, at least, I'm interested in. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other board comments, questions? Well, thank you, Dr. Myers, Dr. Steele, thank you. Dr. Settles. As we've all said, when we went through the, initial strategic plan, this definitely rises to the top outside of educating our students is definitely retaining and recruiting, the best staff that we can have. That's what we owe our students, and I know we do a fantastic job, and I appreciate you and your team's hard work in getting creative in these challenging times. As I said before, from substitutes to paras to staff to you name it, you can look out in the job market outside of education, and it's just as crazy and complicated. So appreciate all the work that goes into it all day, every day. All right, with that, no further board comments, and seeing no public comment request for the strategic plan goal number 3, we'll move on to our final item under section 4, discussion and information items, the policy 6000 series instruction.
All right.
Ms. Siri.
Yeah. Good afternoon, board, or good evening. My gosh, it feels like afternoon. As part of our board policy evaluation and update process, the 6000 series are up for review. Those policies focus around instruction, teaching, and learning. So please feel free to contact me with any feedback or input on those series, and we will bring that forward to the board for discussion at the next board meeting at the end of June. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Erie. All right, that concludes section 4, discussion and information items. Moving on to section 5, our future board calendar. June 27th, 2022, the student fees hearing for school year 2022-2023 at 6 p.m. here at the central office. And following that student fees hearing will be our next Board of Education meeting at 6 p.m. again on June 27th, 2022 at the central office. Seeing no further business before this board, I will adjourn the Papillion La Vista Community Schools Board of Education meeting for June 13th, 2022 at 7:05 p.m. Thank you all.